from DrakenWerks, and I'm here with my producer,
Greg.
if he wants to introduce himself. He's a little shy. You got to encourage him a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Hi, I'm Greg Weiler. This is Inside Studio Dreamcatcher.
I wanted to describe why I'm out here at the moment. You're expecting an album to be produced. People were expecting an album to be produced maybe late 2015, early 2016. It's now early 2016, so we're running a little bit on the late side. But there's a very good reason for it. There is a very, very good reason for it. And it's because we wanted to make sure it was right. It needed the little extra care and attention to make sure we got all the details correct, which is actually why I'm out here at the moment in February in 2016, sat in the studio here with Gregor, with the producer. And I wanted to explain why that is and also kind of what we do, how the process works, why what I do is obviously, you know, as Draken from DrakenWerks and what Gregor does as the producer, you know. Quite often, a lot of the bands that you hear played out there, you don't actually realise what the producer's job is on it. You hear the band, but what does the producer do?
He's a sound guy. Obviously.
Exactly, but it's actually a very vital and important part, and actually possibly just as important, if not more important, than my input into it as well. You know, debatable.
That's very debatable since you're the founder of the band. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the band wouldn't exist at the beginning without it, but then it wouldn't be as good without your input either. So
it's some kind of symbiosis. I mean, the producer can't live without bands to produce, and you know, bands maybe couldn't exist without producers. Maybe they could, but.
Only if the band knew how to produce themselves, I think, is the trick. And there's very few bands that could actually produce themselves and actually take it to that level.
Yeah, in the end, it's just about the results. It's not about how many people are involved to get there, but it's just, you know.
But I find the process myself is normally, I mean, as the band, sort of the creator and the vocalist and the initial composer, I would start things off. I'd create the sketch, I would do the vocals, I would create this idea of where I want to go. So I'd sit there. And, I mean, everyone always hears about these people who do anyone can make this music, can make it on computer, and it's like, well, ish, you know, that's how it starts. That's how it starts. But to really get it to the point where you're going to hear it in clubs and everything else, you start with the computer, you create your sketch and everything else like that. And different bands have different processes, but I mean, the general good process, which I'm using here for DrakenWerks, is you do that, you create the sketch, and then what I do is I take it all up, I package it up, and I give it to Gregor, because Gregor's going to do a lot more with it. I don't know if you want to explain what it is you do, or...
Yeah, sure. I mean, I do both things here. I do engineering as well as production, so it would be solely mix mastering or producing actual bands. And a lot of people take these two things or treat them synonymously, like they're the same thing, which I totally not. Like when you get something engineered or mixed mastered, you basically work only with finished recordings, and your job is to make those finished recordings sound as good as possible. That would be the mixing part. The mastering part would basically be like surgery, like heart surgery on a patient you're not allowed to cut open. So if you have something very severe, you're not gonna fix that in mastering.
So basically you're the person prescribing him aspirin to keep the blood a little bit
clear,
but you're not allowed to do much more. Yeah.
You can cure the last headache with it, maybe. But there's that. So aside from that, when you do production, for instance, that can go on a very much creative level. That can be rearranging of songs, that can be adding harmonies, rearranging songs to make them work better. And I do both, and for DrakenWerks, it's
very much both of those. It's very much production.
Very much both worlds, actually. Yeah. It's first the production, and then
it's very and it's something actually I very much appreciate. I mean, I think it's actually almost vital for me from my perspective on DrakenWerks that this is something that is. It's a double creative process. It has my creative input in the beginning, and not that I then hand it to Gregor and then completely go, now you do it all, but because I still have feedback that I will then give to Gregor as well. But it's more of a case of I started off, I have the ideas, I have put my raw emotion into some of these songs, you know.
It makes the song that it is. You know?
That's it, and it gives the baseline, the foundation that it's all going to work on, and then I hand it to Gregor, and Gregor will then go, right, okay, well. Yeah, that's good, but what we need to do here is, we need to, take your drum tracks and chuck them away. Put a new drum track in, which is going to actually sound even more kicking and kick-ass for people and going to get them up on the dance floor properly dancing. And, we need to take what you've done with the synth, I like what you've done with the melody there, but you need to go a bit deeper and maybe add a couple of notes here and there, and suddenly whoa, and I'll get it sent back and I'll be like, wow, what have you done to this? Gregor, really, you really do interpret what I do, and then take it into the next level, way beyond where I thought it could go. So it's
thank you so much. But I think if we were talking to a rap or hip hop audience, I know a lot of people aren't really into that, but the term of a producer would be much more common then, because then you could just say you have an MC or a rapper, and he would come up with a lyric idea, and he would make a basic sketch of the song, and he would go to his producer, who would actually transform this, into the final version. It would still be the song of the artist, obviously, but the producer just would try everything from the artistic and the engineering side of things to make it the best product it can be.
To realize it.
To produce it, basically. That's where the entire term comes from. And it's more that in electronic music, much like you said, where people just assume that the song gets written by just clicking on a mouse, choosing a certain sequence, bouncing it, and then giving it up to mastering, that the term of production is kind of obsolete. But mastering and mixing and production are not the same thing.
So here in Studio Dreamcatcher, obviously you've got a lot more equipment as well. Obviously you need to have the technical expertise to use it, which you've far more advanced than what I've got. And here, I mean, obviously I started off, we talk about working with a computer. That's actually how I operate. I've got a few other little bits and pieces of equipment that I use, like my vocal processor and the mic I have in the house, but it's not the same level of equipment that you've got here in this studio here at the moment.
It's not really a necessity these days though, because a lot of stuff you can also do with plugins and software. Like I know some amazing engineers and producers who basically work with nothing but the laptops in a decent room and a good couple speakers. However, it's I think it's easier because if you have good equipment and you work with good signals from the very beginning, which is also the reason why we re-recorded your vocals.
That's why I'm out here at the moment, yes.
Exactly, which is why
we'll get into properly in a minute.
Which is why things are taking a bit longer, is because it's just easier to mix when the signal is distortion-free, gain staged the right, proper way. And you could also do it without all that, but it just saves you so many headaches if you have some Class A equipment. When you run it through these kind of preamps, there's like 3 less plugins you have to use for each channel.
That's it. And it is something that's just easier there. It's actually there in itself.
It looks cool.
It also looks cool. I mean, this what we got down here, I don't know whether it picks up very well on the camera, but the module system here as well, if you look it up on YouTube, there are plenty of people who you can see playing around with this. And Gregor's got his own setup here as well with it. And I've seen it being played around with in the last couple of days, and it's very funky.
It's more hobby. But,
it is. It's great fun. It's very, very great fun. But I'm out here as well because we're re-recording the vocals. I mean, Gregor said to me, right, it's going to work better rather than just using what you use. Because what I do at home, I have a mic, I have a pop guard, and that's about it, really, to be honest. It is an SM58, which, they call it the industrial standard, but it's not a great mic. It just does its job. It's pretty much the industrial standard.
It's good for live.
Yeah, it's all right. But I record off that in the house. I then have to, after recording it, the lines that I use in the house aren't great, so I have to remove noise out of it. And it suddenly felt it doesn't work so well in the mix either. It gets buried a bit. You can make the mix, you can do the production from it, but you then get to the point at the end of it and you're like thinking, well, hang on a minute, we can get a lot more out of this if we re-record the vocals on a decent system. So coming out here at the moment, Gregor has suggested that I come out here and do re-record the vocals. I agree, and actually having done this now for a couple of days, being out here in Germany and actually hearing the results as well, it's actually well worth it. So you'll hear that on the album. Well, you probably won't hear it on the album because you wouldn't have the comparison, but it is actually sounding very much crisper. And it has an effect on the whole track. It actually sounds so much better, so much clearer overall, and gives it a bit more space in the whole way that it works. It's been absolutely phenomenal. It's actually been really great for me being out here and doing this sort of stuff. I mean, what sort of equipment were you using for the vocal here?
Before we get too much into that, I also have to say it's not just the technical side of things, but it's also improving the artistic performance if you can concentrate purely on that. Like if you would try to do the same thing at home, and you would have to switch from your laptop, typing something in, preparing the channel, going back to your preamp, adjusting that, singing into the mic, stopping, next take, cutting it a bit, then
Checking
going
it all,
again. How are you supposed to purely focus on your artistic performance?
I quite agree with that. I've discovered that myself actually in the last couple of days.
So it's both actually. It's recording the best signal possible, but it's also getting the best performance possible, and it's just easier if you can get the chance to work with an engineer who's done that several times and can just do the entire technical side of things for you, so that you can just purely focus on the song itself. But the equipment we used, there was Neumann TLM 103, which is the same capsule as the U87 mic. It's a very legendary microphone used in all kinds of productions, from podcasts to pop songs, rap songs. Big studios have it all over the world, basically. And we went into a Tegeler Audio Manufaktur.
That's modeled here.
It's a very cheap recording channel, which means it's basically a preamp, but with an opto compressor and a tube compressor in it. And it also has an equalizer built in, which is also analog, and just gives the signal a certain quality before actually entering the software. And like I said, it basically has the effect of 2 or 3 plugins before you even enter the chain, and it just makes your mixing job.
You got something that's coming in that's a bit easier to work with before you actually bring it to the PC stage.
Yes, I'm not saying it's necessary, but it's certainly not.
It's not an unwelcome.
It's not a disadvantage.
Certainly it helps having it there if you've got it there. Yeah, it's a good thing. I love being out here, and going back to what you're saying about the artistic side. I certainly, as I said, found it's been absolutely really wonderful being up there, just pounding away up there. I don't have to actually think now anymore about all this sort of side. Greg will be sat in the corner there doing his bit on the computer, making sure that you check the levels and everything else and make sure that's all sitting right. And I don't have to worry about that bit. Yeah. If there is any feedback that needs to be done, you just a quick word like, Drak, can you do this? Yeah,
if you have to do this at the same time, and you go back, you were like, where was I? Yeah. I was about to sing about wrath and anger. It's just very hard to get back into that.
In the industrial scene? Yeah. Does that exist?
But getting directly back into that is very hard. From, I think my gain staging is right, back to, my lost love from 5 years ago.
It means you can sit and actually really concentrate. And I found over the last couple of days, because it's the first time really that I've done it in this sort of way, and I've actually found it really beneficial. It's taken me, coming from the beginning and everything else, finding myself more and more relaxing with it as well, and actually feeling like I can actually feel I can give more into the performance as well now, which is not something I'd fully expected until you're actually there. And I'm used to how I've been doing it before with recording it at home, but actually sitting in the studio doing it and actually being able to really push it on there. Actually once you start really getting really comfortable with it and actually doing it, you start forgetting the fact that you've got sound techs at the side there.
That's perfect.
It's your assistant there at that point to be able to assist you in that. But at the time, you're just on your performance. You're just pushing it in, which is exactly what you need for the track to actually come out and get the best out of it. And then, obviously, the other side of it, which is obviously the technical side of it, you're covering that bit anyway, and you don't have to worry about that when you're for an artist side.
Best compliment ever. I mean, that's the whole reason why these kind of facilities exist. So that the artistic side of things can be separated a bit more from the technical side, because when you remember back in the days how bands recorded their album, it was basically like them solely concentrating on mastering their craft, and then leaving all the rest, how to get this on an actual record, to other people. Like Johnny Cash, he didn't know anything about audio engineering, and he didn't have to in order to become
you have an engineer to do it,
Yeah, so it's kind of a bit like, not that I would compare us to any of that, but it's more like an old school kind of approach. These days, every EDM producer and stuff, they also have to know about audio engineering in order to, get their songs together. You have to be good with software and stuff. So it's kind of like, I feel like this artistic process got a bit...
It's getting a bit diluted because you have to learn too much of the other side of it before you can actually do what you want to do creatively.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a bit like back to the roots approach, maybe.
And using the computer to do what they used to do on an acoustic, but in some sense of just being like, get it and play it. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You know, create some noise, make some noise, create something that, you know,
don't
you
worry
like,
so much.
Yeah, don't worry about it too much. Produce it, create something. Then we can tidy it up and make it actually so it's actually producible.
We exist so you don't worry so much. You just write songs, basically.
But that's very, very cool. But we're going to say, we were discussing this. I mean, the album is on its way. It's a little bit delayed because of this process. And I think it goes back to what we were discussing, even right back at the beginning when I first was starting to work with Gregor as a producer, Gregor being the producer and me as the artist, saying that if we're going to do this, take the time, get it right. Yeah, quality over quantity.
Absolutely.
We're talking about an album that has 15 tracks on it, so it's a little bit more than most albums have anyway. And you know, as the first professionally produced album we've done, we have Prototype, which is a different matter altogether, and we'll discuss that another time. But as the first professionally produced album and everything else, I wanted to make sure it goes out there and really hits home. I mean, the single we did for it, Suck It Up, that just hammered out there.
Yeah, I had a massive reaction for it. Yep.
Brilliant reaction out there when we put that out there. Large amount of people. We gained a lot of audience and fans. Many of you might be watching.
How many
this
likes did they have? Like 3,500, 4,000?
3,500 somewhere around there.
Likes
just under
for
3,500 just for that post alone.
700 shares.
In the industrial EBM scene, that's quite significant.
Show me like one band
and that's for one song.
Yeah, and like show me one band who gets these kind of results even when they sponsor it, you know. And then we're talking a page that had like 800, 900 likes at that point on the Facebook page.
It was actually 160.
Yeah, see, it's
before
crazy.
we even going into this, I had 160 likes. We're now at about 1,400 people actually have liked the page. I mean, we're talking Facebook and social media, so it's always you can always take
it's always
a little
a gamble.
bit
But I saw a lot of people from the Oros Fest.
Yeah, it's still
Mexico.
It gives you an idea of where it's coming from, and it's Brazil and Mexico have been a very big recipient.
Yeah, and actually a lot of
bit
people
in UK and Germany, but down there,
Actually, a lot of people I knew actually who liked it as well as people that I got to know from the from the Oros Fest in Mexico, for example.
That's cool, yeah.
So that explains the South American
sort of connection and everything as well. Yeah, that's brilliant. No, that's absolutely fantastic. I was blown away by that. I wasn't expecting that kind of reaction. I wasn't kind of expecting that reaction at all. That
was actually the first song that got produced in this facility. So.
It is actually, because you obviously had your old studio, but it was in like this little attic room. Then you produced this new one, and our single was the first one in there. And the reaction to that single, obviously, I hope that we have. Well, I produce music for myself, but I hope people receive in this the like in the same way that the whole album when the album comes out. And I wanted to make sure the album was just like literally at the best it could be for people, which is what we're doing. And it's literally what we're doing. So we're nearly not far off, is it? I mean, we've got a couple of tracks we've got to finish. You got to finish doing all the production work on and everything else. We've just redone the vocals for a lot of it just to make sure we got the crisper, clearer vocals and the better production from it on that as well. So that got to go in. And then it's going to be talking with John Briggs, who's my graphic illustrator, to do the artwork for the album as well, make sure we get all that done, organised with distributors, and then it's going to be out there. So we'll soon have a release date for you. It's not long. It's nearly there. So hold on. We are coming.
Hold your horses.
DrakenWerks is coming.
Mastering, that the term of production is kind of obsolete. But, mastering and mixing and production are not the same thing.
It is not, and it is a question sometimes as well. It's also the availability of equipment, I think, as well. I mean, you go here in Studio 95. No, we'll cut that bit because Studio 95 is a prostitute house in Swansea.
No, let's not cut that out. Let's say it with pride. Let's say it with pride.
We know Studio 95.
1010 would go there again.
Here in Studio Dreamcatcher. Let's rewind a little bit. We'll cut that bit.
No, we're not. We're so not cutting it.
That's going in the cock-ups.